Hello everyone, welcome back. Hope you all are doing great. Guys, this video is for those people who want to get CCNA certificate. Because in this video, I am going to tell you how you can prepare yourself for CCNA exam and how you can get CCNA certificate in just 45 days. Guys, passing CCNA exam is quite easy, but you have to follow a roadmap. You need some study materials, you need training, you have to practice, and then you can go for exam. So first of all, I would like to discuss about the syllabus. So you can see this is my syllabus, but I want to show you syllabus on Cisco website, right? For that, what I will do, let me open any browser over here and let me show you the syllabus on Cisco official website. For that, just you need to type, let's say CCNA exam topic, right? Let me hit enter over here. It will take you on the Cisco website. This is official website of Cisco, right? So here I'm going to click 200301 CCNA. Okay, so now you can see I'm on the official website of Cisco, and here I can check everything, right? So now you can see here the duration of exam is 120 minutes, right? And you will get around 100 to 120 questions, so you don't have much time, right? Around you have 1 minute for one question, because you have total 120 questions in exam and you have 120 minutes. Fine. Then if I will talk about the language, so you can see language is English and Japanese. After that, price is 300 USD dollars plus tax. If you have any coupon code, you can apply it. Fine. If you want to purchase practice, so you can purchase practice. Here you can click buy practice exam, right? So like this you can purchase practice exam. You can see at $79. Okay, now if you want to book your exam, you will click over here schedule an exam. But now we are going to discuss syllabus, right? What we need to learn to get CCNA certificate and how to learn, right? How to collect study materials and these things. So see here, exam review. Guys, here we are able to see 6 parts, right? So we need to cover these all parts to pass CCNA exam, right? This exam test your knowledge and skill related to network fundamentals, network access, IP connectivity, IP services, security fundamentals. After that, automation and programmability, right? So just you need to learn these 6 sections, right? Now if I will check what topics are there inside the network fundamental, inside the network access, IP connectivity, IP service, security fundamentals, and automation and programmability. For that, just click on review and exam topics. So if I will click over here, you can see the percentage of each section. 1.0 network fundamental, 20%, right? So this section will cover 20% of your syllabus, right? And in the exam also you will get 20% questions from this section, right? Then network access, again 20%. Then IP connectivity, 25%, right? Most important section, IP connectivity, right? This portion is going to cover 25% of your syllabus. After that, IP services, 10%, security fundamental, 15%, and automation and programmability, 10%, right? So just you need to learn these 6 sections to pass CCN exam. If you will learn these all sections, guys, very carefully, right? And if you will practice on these all topics, 100% you can pass the exam, right? It will become, CCNA will become very easy for you, because I have knowledge of these all sections. So if I will attend 100 times CCNA exam, I will pass 100 times. If I will attend 1000 times, I will pass 1000 times, right? Because Cisco is going to ask you question from these sections only, right? There's not going to ask you any question from other topics which are not here. So you only need to focus on the topics included these 5 sections, right? So let me show you the topics inside network fundamentals. Like, as you know, network fundamental means networking components like routers, switches. Guys, in CCNA you have to master some devices like routers, switches, firewall, IPS IDS, then AP, access point, WLC, and you have to learn controller, DNA, Cisco DNA, right? If you will learn these all devices, right? Around your 80% syllabus is covered, right? On these devices you have to learn some protocols as well, like there are some routing protocols, there are some switching protocols, right? So let me discuss all topics one by one, that what are the topic we need to learn to get CCNA certificate. So first let me open network fundamental section. Okay, so see, in the network fundamental section guys, first device that you need to learn is what? Routers, right? Like what is router, how router works, how router build routing table, right? If I will give you one example of router, so what is router? Router is a device which works at layer 3 and it is used to connect multiple network together. It is used to connect multiple network together. Let's say you are designing a small network, right, for let's say your office. So in your network there are some computers, right? 5 computers, there are some servers as well, right? Printer, any end devices. Now to connect these all devices together you need a centralized device. That centralized device can be switch. This centralized device can be your access point also, it can be hub also, but hub is not in your syllabus and nowadays we are not using it, right? So let's say I am using switch over here, right, to connect these devices together. So you know, now these devices can communicate with each other, but these devices cannot access internet. So if you want to provide internet to these user, what you need to do, you need to connect your network to internet. And as you know, internet is different network. Internet is different network. So how you will connect internet and your private network? This is your private network, right? Your small network. So if you need to connect two different network together, you need a router. So here you will place one router, right? So now this user can access internet. Let's say on the internet there is one Google server, so this user can access Google server. But as you know, this is public network and this is not secure, right? So anyone can attack in your network. So just to secure your private network, you have to put one more device over here between trusted and untrusted, between private and public, right? This is your private network, this is your trusted network, this is public network, this is untrusted network. So between trusted and untrusted you have to place one device called firewall, right? So the first device that you need to learn in CCNA 200301 is routers, right? You have to learn multiple types of router like ESR router, ISR router, right? How router works, everything. Fine. Because routers is a very important topic in CCNA. Then guys, switch. Layer 2 switch and layer 3 switches. Layer 2 and layer 3 switches. Again in layer 2 we have two types of switch, manageable switch and unmanageable switch. Layer 3 we have two types of layer 3 switch, manageable, unmanageable, right? So you have to understand how switch works, how switch learn MAC address table, how switch build MAC address table, and how switch take forwarding decision, right? Like how switch takes for unicast decision, multicast decision, broadcast decision, whatever things are there, and many more protocols as well, right? So the second device that you need to learn in CCNA is switches. First routers, then switches. In switches, layer 2 switch, layer 3 switch. After that, third device is next generation firewall. Next generation firewall. As I told you, to secure your private network from public network, from untrusted network, you will place the one firewall right there between trusted and untrusted. So you have to learn how firewall works, how to configure a firewall, how many types of firewall we have, right? And you have to understand the practical reason that why we need firewall, right? How an attacker can attack in your network if you don't have a firewall. Okay, then IPS, intrusion prevention system. Then you have to learn IPS IDS, how these devices work, how IPS is different from firewall. Because IPS can be a hardware also, it can be software also, right? Firewall can be also hardware, can be software, right? So the difference between IPS, IDS and firewall. Then guys, you have to learn access point, right? Again, if you want to connect endpoint and devices together without cable, what you need one access point, AP. Through AP we can connect these devices together through wireless, right, without wired. So sometime we need to design a wireless network also, like 20% networks are wireless network, right, on the internet. So you have to learn wireless networking as well, right? In the wireless, the first device that you will learn is access point, right? Very important device. Then you have to learn about the controllers like Cisco DNA, Digital Network Architecture, and WLC. You have to compare the traditional network and the controller based network. You have to learn the controller, some controllers like what is DNA, right? What is WLC? Like let's suppose in your enterprise network there are 5,000 access point, right? So how you will manage your 5,000 access points, right? Manually you will access those devices and you will change the policies, or you will change the password, or you will create the SSID, right? It will be very complicated. So to manage those all 500 APs, we have a separate device that is called WLC, wireless controller. Through wireless controller we can manage multiple access point. Okay, so here you have to learn the Cisco DNA and WLC, means about the controller. Then about the endpoints, like as I told you, these are endpoints and devices, your PCs, your laptop, your mobile phone, printer, server, right? These are what endpoint. So you have to understand about the endpoint also. Then you have to learn about the servers, then power over Ethernet, PoE, right? So these are the devices, guys, right? These are the devices about that you need to learn under the network fundamentals. In the first section, in 1.0, in 1.1, you have to learn about the routers, switches, firewall, IPS, IDS, access point, controllers, endpoints, server, and PoE, power over Ethernet. Like let's say you have one access point over here, right? So access point is a very small device. We can put it on wall. So let's say this is wall of my company. If I will put one access point over here, I have to provide power as well, right? So I need one power adapter over here on the wall. But you have the option of PoE, power over Ethernet. So if you are connecting your AP to switch, definitely you will connect your AP to switch, right? Let's say here you have another AP access point. So here you don't need to provide power to your access point. Your switch will provide power to your access point through Ethernet, right? So that's why we are saying what power over Ethernet. So switch, a port can provide a power to device through the Ethernet, right? So okay, you have to learn it right in the CCNA, right, to pass CCNA exam. Okay guys, so first you have to master these devices: routers, switches, firewall, IPS, IDS, access point, controllers, endpoint, servers, and power over Ethernet. This section will take around 2 to 3 days. 2 to 3 days. Not I'm talking about any protocol. I'm talking about the devices only, right? Or about the software only. It will take 2 to 3 days. Means around 6 hours. In 6 hours, you can learn these all devices. Then guys, next part is what? 2.1. Describe characteristic of network topology architecture. Guys, we have an architecture from Cisco. Whenever you need to design a network, you have to follow that architecture, right? And that architectures are 2-tier, 3-tier, spine leaf, right? A spine leaf. 2-tier is, if I will show you 2-tiered architecture, so you can see how 2-tier look likes. Two-tier. So see, this is design of 2-tier, guys, right? Distribution layer, access layer. You have only 2 layer: distribution layer, access layer. You don't have here core layer, right? So this design is suitable for small companies, right? For your home network. Then we have 3 tiers. For large enterprise or for good companies, you have to design what? 3 tiers network. So here you have to learn what is 2-tier, 3-tier, how to connect devices, right? What devices we will place at access layer, what devices we will place at distribution layer, what devices we will place at core layer. And then we have what? A spine leaf. Generally we use this architecture in data center. As I told you, tier 2 can be used for a small office or for your home network, right? 3-tier for the enterprises, right? And a spine leaf is for data center. The next topic is WAN, wide area network. As you know, there are multiple types of network like LAN, MAN, WAN, CAN, PAN, right? But Technically, we have only two types of network, LAN and WAN, local area network and wide area network. So here you will understand the wide area network. So if you have connected these devices, switch, then you have some computers over here, and you have connected this switch with one router, and then your router is connected with your ISP, right? So this is your WAN network, WAN, and this is your LAN network, right? So you have to understand the difference between LAN and WAN, which type of cable you should use over here, which type of cable you should use over here, what will be the configuration over here, right? Everything. So here topic is WAN, and then you have to learn a small office, home office, then on-premise and cloud, right? What is the difference between deploying something on your own server and deploying something on cloud? Like as I told you, not told you, I'm telling you guys, let's say you want to place one router in your company, so you can purchase a physical device for your company, physical router, or you can place virtual device as well on the cloud. Okay, so on the cloud my controller can be there, right? We can deploy the controller on the cloud, we can deploy the firewall on the cloud, we can deploy the router on the cloud. So here you have to learn the difference between deploying something on your server on your own devices and deploying something on cloud, the difference between each other, and what is the benefit of cloud, why we are, right, moving toward cloud. Fine. So in this section you will learn about the architecture, about the network topology architecture, and this section will also takes around 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 days, right? So total you need around 6 to 8 days to cover these topics, right? These all topics means around 16 hours. In within 16 hours you can cover these all topics, guys. You can learn the WAN, you can learn the spine leaf, tier 3, tier 2, small office, home office, you can understand the cloud versus on premise. Then in the next portion you will learn about the cabling, right? About the connection, physical connection, compare physical interface and cabling type, like we have single mode fiber, multi mode fiber, right? Copper cable. So as you know, in single mode, we can have only one path to travel light, but in the multi mode we can have the multiple path to travel light. Diameter of single home is small, diameter of multi home is large, right? Greater than single mode. Then you have to learn the copper. After that you need to learn about the connections, like what is the difference between Ethernet shared media and point to point, where you need to connect point to point, where you need to use Ethernet cable. Like let's say I have one router over here and I am connecting this router to one switch, right? And on this switch is, let's say, connected with two other router, R2 and R3. So can I use here this cable as a point to point? Can this cable be point to point? No. This cable should be what? Shared media. Because through this cable, R1 is connected with multiple devices, R2 also and R3 also, right? So here you have to learn about the connections, Ethernet shared media and point to point. What is point to point? How many types of cable are there under point to point, and about the Ethernet cable. Then guys, you have to learn this part. This part is C, identify interface and cable issues. Like if there is some faulty in cable, or if there is some faulty in the port interface, then what type of error you will get and how to troubleshoot it. Like you will get collision error, you will get CRC error, you can get input error, duplex mismatch, right, speed mismatch. So when you will get these type of error on the interfaces and how to troubleshoot it, right? After that, very important topic, this one, 1.5. This section is very important, right? TCP and UDP, transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol. There's a transport layer 2 protocols work, TCP and UDP, and these two are very important protocol as perspective to CCNA exam or as perspective to interview. Interviewer can also ask you multiple questions from this topic, like compare TCP and UDP, right? So here you have to spend at least 2 hours on TCP and UDP. Fine. But within 2 hours you can cover TCP and UDP. Sorry, I was getting one call. Okay, so not only TCP and UDP, you have to learn multiple protocols. So when you will learn OSI model or TCP IP model, you will see some protocols at application layer, some protocols at transport layer, some protocols at network layer, some protocols at data link layer. So here in the CCNA syllabus, you are able to see for these two topics, TCP and UDP, right? So as I told you, here you have to spend around 2 hours. After that, again, very important topic, configure and verify IPv4 addressing and subnetting. Guys, these two parts, TCP, UDP and IPv4 addressing and subnetting, is mandatory for all network engineers. All network engineers should master these two topics, right? IPv4 addressing, subnetting, OSI model, right? Network fundamental means about the devices. These are compulsory topics for network engineers. Every network engineer should master it, not only learn it, master it, right? So you should learn subnetting, once, at least in such a way that you can solve any question of subnetting, and you should have knowledge about the basic not basic, the genuine logic about the subnetting, that why we need it, right? And how we are doing it, what we are achieving through subnetting, right? How we can use it in real time. Fine. Then describe the need of private IP addressing, right? So first we divide IPv4 address into classes, like class A, class B, class C, class D, like this, right? Then we divide each classes into two parts, private and public. Private and public, right? So you have to understand why we divide IP addresses into classes, then why we divide each classes into two parts, private and public. What are the range of private IP address from class A, class B, class C, like this? You have to learn it, right? So this portion is also important. Then guys, like as I told you, you have to master IPv4 addressing and subnetting. You don't need to master IPv6 addressing, but at least you should have knowledge about IPv6 addressing, like how IPv6 address look like. If I will talk about the IPv4 address, everyone know how IPv4 address look like. We represent IPv4 address into dotted decimal format, right? We have 4 fields, and each fields carry 8-bit information, right? So my IPv4 address can be 10.10.10.10, like this. You have to learn IPv6 addressing as well, like how IPv6 addressing looks like, how many fields are there, right? Length of IPv6 address. Okay, then we have some types of IPv6 addressing, like unicast, anycast and multicast. We don't have broadcast over here, right? Again, in unicast we have several types, like global unicast, unique local and link local. So when you will configure any unique local IP address on an interface, automatically that interface will elect one link local address, right? So you have to learn these all terms. Then modified UI64, unique extended unique identifier. What is UI64? So this is part of IPv6 addressing, right? It will take 2 hours, again 2 hours. And TCP, UDP, IPv4 addressing and private public, right? All subnetting, VLSM, FLSM, everything will be covered in 2 to 3 days. 2 to 3 days, around 6 hours contents. Fine. So hope till here this every topics is clear to you, like you have to master these topics, right? Then guys, you will move to next portion, verify IP parameters for client operating system like Windows, Mac OS and Linux, right? How we will verify the IP parameters, how to configure IPv4 addressing, IPv6 addresses on this operating system, and how to verify it. Like on a Windows device, not only IPv4 address is required, right? Device need IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, DNS server, primary DNS, secondary DNS, right? And many more informations. Fine. So hope till here everything is clear. First of all, you will learn about these devices, then about the network topology architecture, like 2-tier, 3-tier, spine leaf, WAN, small office, home office, and on-premise and cloud. Then you will learn about the physical interfaces, After that, you will learn about the cable issues or interface issues, then TCP UDP, IPv4 addressing and subnetting like FLSM, VLSM, then private IP address and public IP addressing. After that, IPv6 addressing in IPv6, unicast, multicast and anycast. In unicast, again global unique, global unicast, local, unique local and link local, then UI64. After that, verify IP parameters for client operating system like Windows, Mac OS and Linux. Then you have some topics of wireless, right? You have to understand the wireless principles, like how wireless networks work, right? What are the components are there, what are the protocols are there, and how to design a wireless network, right? Guys, wireless networks work on two frequency, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. So you have to learn about these two frequencies, right? We have many more frequencies for radio, for multiple reason, but for the wireless communication we have two frequency, 2.4 and 5. In 2.4 gigahertz frequency we have some no overlapping channel and non-overlapping channel, right? Here overlapping can be occurred, can be happened in 2.5, right? Sorry, in 2.4. So here you have to understand the non-overlapping Wi-Fi channel. What are the non-overlapping Wi-Fi channels in 2.5 gigahertz? If you know the answer, let me know your answer in the comment section, guys. This is your question. How many non-overlapping channels are there in 2.4 gigahertz frequency? In 5 gigahertz frequency we don't have problem of overlapping, of interference, but in 2.4, right, we have problem of interference. So if I am connecting two APs together, right, I have to check both APs are working on which frequency. If both are working on, you know, overlapping channel, then maybe interference will be occur over here, right? Switch like this. Okay, then you have to learn about the SSID. SSID is just a name of your Wi-Fi. Then about the radio frequency. So let's say I have two devices, two mobile, let's say mobile 1, mobile 2, A or B. If I am connecting these two mobile through Bluetooth, right, these both devices will connect with each other automatically, right, through wireless. How? By transmitting radio frequency. Both devices will send radio frequency signal and both devices will sense to each other. So you have to understand how devices are transmitting radio frequency, how, what is radio frequency, how it's work, and how these devices will sense to each other, right? Then guys, you have to understand the encryption, right? This is again part of security. Like what is encryption? Encryption means converting plain text into ciphertext, right? Let's say plain text information is ABC, and if you are converting it into ciphertext, that is 1 2 3. This is nothing but encryption. But this is not enough. You have to learn the encryption algorithms. Like we have multiple types of encryption algorithm: DS, 3DS, right? AES, advanced encryption standard, right? So you have to learn about these encryption, guys. Fine. Then you have some topics of virtualization here, like explain the virtualization fundamentals. What is virtualization? Like if you are using, you know, VMware. So VMware is what? One kind of virtualization. If you are using EVNG, right, on the VMware, you are doing it in virtual, right? So you have to learn the virtualization also, like how virtualization work, what is virtualization, what is the benefit of virtualization. Let's say I have one PC CPU, right? On this CPU I have a great memory process, right? But you know, I can install only one operating system over here on this PC. Either I can install Windows operating system, or I can install Linux operating system, or I can install Mac operating system. But with the help of virtualization, I can install all these three operating systems on a single machine, right? So this is virtualization. So you have to learn how it's work, like what is server virtualization, what is containers, what is VRF, virtual routing forwarding, right? So these three are part of virtualization, and you have to learn it in CCNA, right, to pass CCNA exam. Fine, guys. So you know, wireless section, this section will again takes around 2 to 3 days, right? Means around 6 hours. And virtualization will take around 1 day, means 2 hours. 1 day, 2 hours content. Then again, very important topic of switching in 1.3. Describe switching concepts like MAC learning and aging. How switch learn MAC addresses, right? How switch build MAC address table. What is aging time? Like by default aging time on Cisco switches is 300 second. What it is, right? Why we have make aging time? What if I will increase it? What if I will decrease it? In which scenario I need to increase it? In which scenario I need to decrease it? Right? You have to understand the actual practical implementation of MAC aging time, right? Then frame switching, frame flooding, and MAC address table, right? So guys, there are many more concepts under MAC address table, right? So again, this portion will take 2 to 3 days, right? And if you have learned these all topics, that means you have covered 20% of your CCNA syllabus, right? This is all about network fundamental, 20%, right? So in my live training, I'm covering this part, right? Complete network fundamental in 10 to 12 days, right? Around 20 to 24 hours. Fine. So under the network fundamental, there are only basic, right? Basic like routers, switches, these are basic devices, right, for network engineers. Now guys, after this you have to move to next section, that is 2.0, network access. Let me show you the topics under network access. So let me open this portion now. See, under this portion, first of all you have to learn about the VLANs, right? Configure and verify VLANs, virtual local area network. Like if you know, VLAN is used to divide a broadcast domain on a single switch, right? By default, if you have a switch, right, with let's say some ports, 24 ports, so all ports belongs to a single broadcast domain. You know why? The reason behind it is all ports belongs to single VLAN, that is VLAN 1, by default VLAN, right? So by default one VLAN exists on switches, that is VLAN 1, and all ports are member of that VLAN. But if you want to divide this broadcast domain into multiple parts, you can do it with the help of what? VLAN. So you have to learn here VLAN, guys. Normal range VLAN, we have two types of VLAN, normal and extended, right? Extended and extended, you can say. Fine. Then spanning tree protocol. Okay, we will talk about the spanning tree protocol later. Then you have to understand the access point. On access point, data and voice both, right? So as I'm telling you again and again, switch is a centralized device which is used to connect multiple end devices together. And guys, by default, you know, all ports are member of VLAN 1. And there are two types of switch port. There are two types of switch port. Switch port means port which forward traffic on the basis of layer 2 information, right? Like switch forward traffic on the basis of layer 2 information by default, right? So port which forward traffic on the basis of layer 2 information are known as switch port, right? Port of a switch. And there are two types of switch port. One is access port and another one is trunk port. Access port is the port which can carry traffic of single VLAN, and trunk port is the port which can carry traffic of multiple VLAN, or you can say which can carry traffic of all VLANs, right? So here you have to learn about the access ports. On the access port, how you will configure the, you know, data and voice. Then you have to learn about the default VLAN. Like as I told you, VLAN 1 is there by default, and there are some few more VLANs, right, on the switches. So you have to learn about the default VLAN, and then inter VLAN connectivity. So if you have separated, you know, these two ports in different VLAN and these two ports in different VLAN, now these two ports cannot, these means port, let's say these port are in VLAN 10 and these port are in VLAN 20. Now user in VLAN 10 cannot communicate with user of VLAN 20. But again, if you want to make communication possible, because with the help of VLAN, what we achieved? We achieved the broadcast. We divide the broadcast, right? But again, if I want to make communication, then I have to perform what? Inter VLAN routing, right? That is inter VLAN connectivity. So you have to understand inter VLAN connectivity also. You have to learn it. How inter VLAN routing works, how to configure it. Fine. If you are thinking that if we need to make communication between two different VLAN, then why, if we need to, yes, make communication possible between two different VLAN, then why we have separated it? So guys, we separated it. We separated the broadcast domain into two parts to reduce the broadcast flooding, right? To reduce the broadcast flooding. For it, definitely you have to take training to learn everything. Okay, so leave for now. After that, configure and verify inter switch connectivity. Like you have to learn what over here trunk ports, you have to learn 802.1q, what is 802.1q, then about the native VLAN. So by default VLAN 1 is your native VLAN. So what is the concept of native VLAN, why we are using it, right? And we should change it or not on the switch, and if we need to change it, then why we need to change it, and what should be my native VLAN. Fine guys. After that, next portion is configure and verify layer 2 discovery protocol, right? Again, we have two types of layer 2 discovery protocol. One is DTP, CDP, Cisco discovery protocol, and another one is LLDP, right? CDP is an Cisco proprietary protocol and LLDP is an open standard protocol. So here you need to learn these two protocols, right? Layer 2 discovery protocol. Fine. Like on this switch, I want to check how many devices are connected on the interfaces. So simply I can run one command over here. So CDP neighbor, it will show me all connected devices, right? Or I can use LLDP protocol. So I can run the command show LLDP neighbor. It will show me all the connected devices. Fine. Then configure and verify layer 2 and layer 3 EtherChannel by using LACP protocol, right? You know, if we are connecting two switch together, switch 1 and switch 2, let's say I have two cable between switch 1 and switch 2 for redundancy, for more bandwidth, right? Not for redundancy, for to achieve more bandwidth. But by default, one protocol is running on switches. That protocol is STP, a spanning tree protocol. A spanning tree protocol. So what a spanning tree protocol will do? A spanning tree protocol will block one link just to avoid the loop. So you will see how loop can form in this topology, right? So to avoid this loop, we are using STP protocol. So STP protocol will allow you to use only single link between switch 1 and switch 2. Even you have connected multiple link, 4 links, then also STP will block 3 number of link. It will allow you to use only single link. So how you can utilize all links between switches? With the help of EtherChannel. With the help of EtherChannel, you can bundle these all link together, right? Again, to configure EtherChannel, we have two methods, right? Static and dynamic. In dynamic, we have two protocol, LACP and PAZP. Right? So you have to learn both protocol, right? Both method, static and dynamic, and both protocols. Fine. So guys, still here, right? You know, to cover these all topics like VLANs, access port, default VLAN, inter VLAN, native VLAN, trunking, .1q, right? Layer 2 discovery protocol like CDP, LDDP, EtherChannel. These all topics will take hardly 3 to 5 days. 3 to 5 days. Totally depends on you. 5 days. Means around 9 to 10 hours. Fine. Then as I told you, a spanning tree protocol. So we have multiple types of spanning tree protocol like CST, common spanning tree protocol. We have PVST, per VLAN spanning tree protocol. We have RSTP, rapid spanning tree protocol, right? So then you have to learn describe the need and the basic operation of rapid spanning tree, rapid PVST, rapid per VLAN spanning tree plus protocol, and identify the basic operations. Like there are many terminology and spanning tree protocols like root bridge, root port, right? Primary root bridge, secondary root bridge, right? And other ports name like RP, DP, designated port, right? Many more terminology are there. So you need to learn those all terminology. Then port states like forwarding, blocking, learning, listening. You need to learn about the port states. After that, what is port fast features and why we need to enable it? What is the benefit of port fast, right? And then again we have some topics of wireless. Compare Cisco wireless architecture and AP mode. Again here you will learn about the wireless architecture like wireless network design and AP mode like breeze mode, autonomous mode, right? So you need to master access point also here to get CCNA certificate. You have to master access point also. Like, so if I will talk about the important devices, routers, switches, firewall, IPS, IDS, right? Then APs, then WLC and controller, Cisco DNA. You have to learn these all devices. You have to master these devices, right? So if someone will ask you what is router, what is switch, what is firewall, what is IPS, or what is IDS, what is AP, access point, what is WLC, wireless controller, right? And Cisco DNA. you should have answer. And Cisco is also going to ask you very easy questions from these all devices. Fine guys, so now let's move to the next portion. Let me check any more topics are there. Yes, so see, next topic is describe physical infrastructure connection of WLAN, wireless local area network components, like again access point WLC, access port trunk port in the wireless, right, and then lag. Fine, so these are again parts of wireless. So I will cover these all wireless parts, in one section. Maybe it will take 2 to 3 days only. Fine, or maybe 5 days max to max. Then what next? Next topic, describe AP access point and WLC management access connection. How you will access these devices like AP, WLC? How you access router, guys? You have two options, right? You have GUI access as well as CLI access. CLI access, yeah, right? Graphic user interface and command line interface. So what is the difference between it? How you will access through GUI, right? So here you can also see, to access a device, again we have two options. We can take physical access or we can take remote access, right? Either I can connect my computer to router directly through console cable and I can access it, or I can access it remotely from somewhere else. If I have IP connectivity to this device, I can access it. So for the remote access, we have two protocols, Telnet and SSH. So you have to learn these two protocols, Telnet and SSH. To GUI access, for GUI access, we have these protocols, HTTP, HTTPS, and then we have console, right? And to authenticate the user, like, your user should be configured in such a way so that no one can access this device without authentication, right? Means only authorized person should be able to access your router, right? So how you will achieve authentication, right? So we have again two options. Either you can configure username and password on the local database of router, or you can use a AAA server, right? AAA server is nothing but, again your end machine with ACS software, access control server, right? So just you need to install one software on your machine, on your end device, on your server, or on your computer, right? So in AAA, we have two protocols, TechX Plus as well as Radius. So we will discuss both, right? It's not big deal. It will take you around 30 minutes only. 30 minutes only. Fine. Then configure the components of wireless LAN access for client connectivity using GUI only such as WLAN creation, security setting, quality of service profile, and advanced WLAN setting. So when I will access WLC or AP through GUI, I will show you these all configuration, right? Like WLAN creation, security setting, quality of service profile, right? Advanced WLAN setting. So these are again part of wireless. So this section, complete this section. Network access will take again around 6 to 8 days, max to max 6 to 8 days. This portion 10 to 12 days. Fine. Then we have what, IP connectivity. This section will again take 10 to 15 days. 10 to 15 days. This section, IP connectivity, and this is very important portion, right? See, it's covering 25% of your syllabus. So let me open now this section, guys, 3.0. What are the topic inside it? So let me show you. See, in the IP connectivity, you will learn about the routing table of router, right? So components of routing table, like routing protocol code. What is routing protocol code? Like we have multiple types of routing protocol, like RIP, EIGRP, OSPF, BGP, ISIS, right? So what is routing protocol code over there, right? What is prefix? What is network mask? Next hop, then administrative distance, AD value, then metric, and then gateway of last resort, right? So these are components of routing table, right? So if you will check the routing table of a router, you will get these all informations there, right? So you have to learn first this part in IP connectivity section, and it will take around 2 hours, right? Means 1 day. Then determine how our routers make forwarding decision by default, right? So let's say you have not configured any policies there and you have not applied any policy, right? Then how routers will take forwarding decision, right? So as you know, routers check first longest prefix match. First of all, router will check longest prefix match, then router will check what AD value, administrative distance value, and then routing protocol metric, right? So let's say I have one router here, and this router is receiving same prefix, same network from two different routing protocol, EIGRP, let's say, and from the OSPF. So which one is best for R1, right? So for that, first router will check longest prefix match, then AD value, and then routing protocol metric. So if longest prefix match is tie, then it is going to check AD value. If AD value will also tie, then it will check what routing metric, right? So you will learn about these all things in the class. Then guys, configure and verify IPv4, IPv6 static routing, right? So you need to implement a static routing with IPv4 and IPv6, like default route, network route. You need to run this command IP route and then network ID, subnet mask, then next hop or exit interface, right? Or both. So you will see how many method we have. Actually, we have 3 method to configure a static route. We can configure a static route by using exit interface. We can configure a static routing by using next hop IP address, or we can configure a static routing by using both next hop as well as exit interface. So what is the benefit of using both, right? Then host route and floating static, right? So these are types of routes we will discuss in this portion in IP connectivity. Then guys, we will move to routing protocols, OSPF version 2, right? What is OSPF, what OSPF works, how many types of messages are there, right? How two OSPF router will form neighbor adjacency, right? Let's say we have two router R1 and R2. So if we have enabled OSPF on both router, then how these two router is going to become neighbor, right? Then in OSPF we have multiple types of network, like point-to-point network, broadcast, point-to-multipoint, point-to-multipoint non-broadcast, right? Many types of network. So we will understand that also. Then broadcast. In broadcast network, DR and BDR is required. So what is DR and BDR? What is designated router, backup designated router? What is the election criteria of DR and BDR, right? Why we need it? Why we need it? This is most important part, right? In real time, really we are using it or not? Then router ID, right? Router ID in OSPF. Router ID is nothing but just the identification of a router, right? Like your name. Fine guys. So now let's move further. Okay, so that's it. In this portion you need to learn these topics only. Then last topic is this one, first hop redundancy protocol. Describe the purpose, function and concept of first hop redundancy protocol. So you have 3 types of first hop redundancy protocol: HSRP, VRRP and GLBP, right? So you need to learn these 3 protocol over here, first hop redundancy protocol, right? So these are topic under the IP connectivity section, right? Very easy. You need to learn the routing table, right? Then you need to understand how routers take forwarding decision by default, then how to implement a static route with IPv4 and IPv6, after that OSPF routing protocol, and then first hop redundancy protocol. Fine. Then this portion will cover your 25% of syllabus, right? So now this section, as I told you, this section will take 10 to 15 days, because here we are going to learn some more protocols as well, like EIGRP, REAP, right? Static route. So this portion will take 10 to 15 days. This portion 10 days. This portion, let's say 5 days, right? So 15, 10 plus 5, 15 days, and plus 10 days, 25 days or 30 days. So till here you need, around 50 hours. These are 50 hours content, right? So you have covered 20%, 20%, 40% and 20%, 65%, right? So if you have learned these all topics, that means you have prepared yourself 65% for CCNA exam, right? Because you will not escape a single question from these topics if you have knowledge. Fine guys. Then you will move to next portion, that is IP services, right? Very easy portion, right? Is going to cover 10%, right? So let me show you the syllabus under this section. Let me open it. See, under this section you will learn about the NAT, network address translation, right? There are multiple types of NAT like static NAT, dynamic NAT, and PAT. So here you need to learn the inside source NAT using static and pool. Pool means dynamic. Fine. Then configure and verify NTP operation in the client and server mode. Network time management protocol, right? Why we need NTP protocol, how to configure it, what is the client mode, what is the server mode, right? Everything you need to learn about the NTP protocol. Then explain the role of DHCP and DNS. Like guys, let's say this is my PC. So I have two options to configure IP address over here. Either I can configure IP statically, or I can place one DHCP server in my network that will be responsible to provide IP addresses to the client, right? So in a small network, if we have, let's say, 10 computers or 50 computers, then we can assign IP addresses statically, right? No problem. But let's say in my network there are 5,000 devices or 1,000 devices, right? It will be very complicated to assign IP address on each device manually, and there is chance of human error as well, right? So that's why we are using what DHCP. So you will learn the DHCP protocol, how many messages are there, right? What protocol it is using, because it is an application layer protocol. So what protocol it will use at TCP transport layer? Like at transport layer we have two protocol, TCP and UDP. Fine. What protocol, sorry, port number it is using, right? Everything about the DHCP. Then DNS. Guys, your machine don't know the domain name. Like if you are typing www.google.com in the browser, your machine don't know who is Google. Your machine only knows the IP address of your Google server. So if you are typing www.google.com in your browser, first of all your machine will look up for the IP address of that domain name, right? And for that we have DNS. So DNS stands for domain name system, or you can say domain name server. Domain name system or server is responsible to resolve fully qualified domain name into IP address, right? So to the your machine you will provide the IP address of your DNS server also, right? So whenever you will type the domain name in the browser, your machine will ask to DNS server, hey, can you tell me the IP address of this domain name? Or definitely this machine will check first their cache. If in their cache IP address is available, it will pick from there. If in the cache IP address is not available for that domain name, it will ask to DNS server. So here you have to understand the DNS server also, guys. Like what is DNS, how it's work, how to configure it, how to implement it, right? Then you need to understand the SNMP protocol, simple network management protocol. Why we are saying simple network management protocol? Because here we will have GUI access, right? That's why we are saying simple network management protocol, right? So let's say in your company there are 1,000 devices, 1,000 devices, and you need to check IS version of your routers. So you have to take access of 1,000 devices, and then you will run command show version, right? Or let's say you want to check the IP address on fast Ethernet 0/0 on a router which is located at, let's say, second floor in the building. So you will access that router, then you will run command show IP interface brief or show IP interface fast Ethernet 0/0, right? So to get the information from a centralized location, from a centralized device, we have this protocol, SNMP protocol. Or to manage also, like let's say I want to set host name on these all devices, or let's say I want to configure ACL on all devices, right? So through SNMP I can configure ACL on all devices, right? In SMP we have messages, right? Get message, set message, right? Trap message. So get message is used to gather the information, to take the information. Like if I need the what IS version is running on the router, right? From the SNMP server I will send this message, get IS version, right? Device will send me the IS version to server, to SNMP server. If I want to set the ACL, I will say set access control list 10, right? And hit enter. I will hit enter on SNMP server. It will push that ACL on all the routers, right? Only I need to provide the IP address, target IP address means IP address of device, right? Let's say router IP address is 1.1.1.1. So I will say set IP interface fast Ethernet 0/0, right? And before that I will put the target IP address 1.1.1.1, right? So from the SNMP server I can set this IP address on the router, right? Or I can configure the access control list on the router. So here you have to learn, guys, what is SNMP protocol, how to configure it, how to implement it, right? Types of messages. We have three version 1, version 2, and version 3. So what is the difference between each version? Why we are using version 3 nowadays? Because version 3 is secure. So you will learn how version 3 is secure, what is the problem with version 1, why we come up with version 2, everything, right? So SNMP is very important protocol. Okay, so SNMP will take, complete one class, means 2 hours. Fine. Then you have to learn the syslog server. Guys, what is SNMP? Again, SNMP is an end machine, right? It can be your window hard window machine, it can be your window server with SNMP software, so let's say this is my hardware. Here I am running window 10, right? Window 10. So if I will install SNMP software over here, this machine will become SNMP server. If I will install syslog server over here, this machine will become syslog server, right? In syslog you have to understand the facilities, what are the facilities are there, what are the security levels are there, right? So total 8 security levels we have, right? 0 to 7, and lower is more critical. You know why we are using syslog? Whenever any event will occur on router, let's say you are configuring IP address on an interface fast ethernet 0/0 IP address 10.1.1.1 255.255.255.0, hit enter, right? Now your device will assign that IP address on the interface, means event occur on router, right? It will generate a log message. So always keep in mind, whenever event will occur on devices, my device will generate a log message. And guys, that log message is very important for network monitoring, for network troubleshooting. So if you want to gather, if you want to collect all syslog or log messages of devices on a centralized device, you can use syslog, right? So we will learn what is syslog, how to configure it, right? Everything. Fine. The next topic is DHCP client and relay agent, right? So if your DHCP server is located in different network, then you have to configure relay agent, right? So you have to learn what is the relay agent also and DHCP client also, right, guys? Then per hop behavior, right? PHB. Explain forwarding per hop behavior. This is part of quality of service, right? Very important topic, right? How to do classification, marking, queuing, congestion, policies, and shaping, right? So again, this portion will take 2 hours, right? Then guys, you need to learn what configure network devices for remote access using SSH. Like as I told you, for remote access we have two protocols, telnet and SSH. So how to configure SSH here you need to learn, right? So I will cover these all, don't worry, right? Then next topic is the capabilities and function of TFTP and FTP, file transfer protocol in the network, right? So these are two server. So you have to understand why we need this server in network, right? Like let's say if you want to upgrade the iOS version of a router, guys, right? So first of all you need to download upgraded version of iOS, then you will place that iOS on your TFTP server, and that from the TFTP server you can push it on your router, right? So you have to learn these two protocols also here, TFTP and FTP in your network, right? So again this will take around 1 hour, right, to cover TFTP and FTP, right? And then this portion is completed. These topics are under IP services. Let me revise. NAT, network address translation, then NTP, right, network time protocol, client mode and server mode, then DHCP DNS, dynamic host configuration protocol and domain name system, SNMP, simple network management protocol, syslog, right, feature including facilities and label, right? So there are again multiple facilities, so you have to understand all facilities. Facilities nothing but you can say regarding which module my devices has generated the log message. After that DHCP client and relay, then PHB for quality of service, like how to do marking, queuing, congestion, policing, and shaping. After that how to configure SSH, then TFTP and FTP. That's it. So this section will take hardly 4 to 5 days. 4 to 5 days, around 10 hours. Fine, around 10 hours. Then guys, next portion, security fundamentals. In security fundamentals you will learn basic security, network security, like what is threats, what is vulnerability. Like let's say if you have a router and on that router telnet service is by default enabled and you have not configured any password there, that means anyone can access your router. So this is what, this is weak point, this is weakness. So weakness is nothing but vulnerability. Vulnerability. Through the weak, through the vulnerability or through the weak point, anyone can attack in your network, right? So here you have to understand the vulnerability, how we can find the vulnerability, what is threats, exploits, and mitigation techniques, right? These are again part of security. This portion will take complete 1 day, right? Means 2 hours. Then describe the program elements such as user awareness, training, and physical access control. This is also part of security, and this portion will also take one class 1 day. After that, configure and verify the device access control using local password. So as I told you, to authenticate a device we have two options. We have local database, we can configure users on local database also, or I can configure it on ACS server as well, right? Access control server, right? So about, this is about the ICE. Here we will discuss ICE, Cisco ICE. I will show you how to implement it, right? How to install it. I will install it in your EVNG and then we will configure it. Fine. But here it's saying by using local password. So you will see how we can configure these things, like local password, right? And how to verify device access using AAA. Fine. Now, next topic, describe security password policies elements such as management complexity and password alternative. These are, you can say, kind of, policies in the security, right? Like how you will authenticate a user. Guys, like AAA stands for what? Authentication, authorization, and accounting. Authentication means authenticate the user. Who are you? It will ask you for username or password. Authorization means what access you want to provide to a user, right? And accounting means what they did, what they configured on your device, right? So there are multiple terminology in security. So when we will start the security, we will cover these all topics, right? Like password alternativity, authentication, what is certificate, biometrics, right? And authentication. Then very important topic, site to site VPN. Site to site VPN by using IPsec. By using IPsec. So as you know, by default we cannot connect, or we cannot make communication possible between two private network over public network. Let's say this is my private network, this is my private network, this is site 1, this is site 2, right? So by default these two sites cannot communicate with each other through public network. Here I have to create one virtual private network, that is called VPN, right? So here we will use VPN technology. We will create one virtual private network between two sites, and then with the help of IPsec, how we will secure it, because we have multiple types of VPN, guys, like GRE tunnel. We can configure GRE tunnel, but GRE is not secure. So we will see how we can secure this tunnel with the help of IPsec, right? Then configure and verify access control list, ACL, right? ACL. So ACL is also important topic for CCNA candidate, right? For CCNA student, I can simply say there are two use case of access control list. One is to identify the traffic for the classification of traffic, and other to allow and deny the traffic, right? If you want to allow or deny a user traffic, you can use ACL. Again, in ACL we have two types of ACL, standard ACL and extended ACL. So you have to learn where I will use standard ACL, where I will use extended ACL, what is the configuration of standard ACL, what is the configuration of extended ACL, right? Like if I will give you one example, let's say if you are using access control list to deny the traffic destined towards the device, Means if you want to deny traffic which is coming for device, you will always use extended ACL. If you want to deny a user traffic, right, data plane, so you will use extended ACL. So in simple word, we can say for data plane, we are using extended ACL. For control plane, we are using, for management plane, not control plane, for management plane and control plane also, we are using what? Extended ACL. Fine. Extended ACL, sorry. Extended ACL. Then guys, configure layer 2 security feature like DSCP snooping. DSCP spoofing. What is the difference between snooping and spoofing? Then dynamic ARP inspection. Then port security. Right? How to bind MAC address with a port, switch port. Right? So again, this is part of security, and this portion will take you around 2 class. 2 class means 4 hours. Right? Access list 1 hour content, right? IPsec 2 hour content. Getting my point? And after that, you will learn some, types of password, right? Security protocols, like which provides a strong password. So we have multiple types of protocol: WPA, WPA2, WPA2 personal, WPA2 enterprise, WPA3, right? So you have to learn these all protocols one by one, right? So when I will access controller like WLC or access point or wireless home router, I will show you these all types of protocol, right? How to configure it, everything, right? So then next topic is configure WLAN using WPA2 personal using the GUI, right? So we will perform on lab on it. We'll perform on lab on it. After that, guys, this portion is also completed, right? Means you have completed security fundamental also, right? And security fundamentals will again takes around 6 to 8 days, right? Then last portion is automation and programmability. But you know the good part, if you will ignore automation and programmability, then also you can pass CCNA exam, right? Because to get CCNA certificate or to pass CCNA exam, you need to score 80% marks, right? Only 80% marks. So 25% and 15%, 30, 40, then 10, 50%, then 70%, 20%, 90%. You have covered 90% syllabus, right? Definitely you can pass. But I am not recommending you to ignore this portion also, because this portion is the most easiest portion of CCNA exam, right? Most of the people are not interested to learn automation and programmability, but guys, I am telling you, this portion is very easy and anyone can learn it. Even a non-technical guys can also learn it, right? And if you are taking training from me, right, I can teach you these all portion, right, in a very easy language, so that a layman can also understand, and they can also go for CCNA exam and they can get CCNA certificate, right? So let me open this portion also, automation and programmability. So in the automation and programmability, first of all, you will learn about the automation impact network management, right? Like how automation is going to help me, right? Then you have to compare traditional network with controller based network, right? Controller based network is just like automated network, right? Like we can manage, let's say, thousands of branches from a centralized location, right? I can configure thousands of devices by pushing a single command from a centralized location. This is what, this is also one kind of automation. If you know the VTP protocol, VLAN trunking protocol, like VTP is used to propagate VLAN information between switches. So VTP is also one kind of what? Automation, right? Through VTP, we can propagate the VLAN information between switches, right? Fine. So like this, we have multiple, technique for automation we will learn, right, in the class. We will compare the traditional network with controller based network, right? We will see the impacts of network management, not automation impacts on network management, right? Because with the help of automation, we can reduce the human effort, right? And automation is not going to decrease the job, it is going to increase the network engineer job, right? Then guys, describe controller based and software defined architectures like overlay, underlay, and fabric. So as I told you, let's say I have again two branch, side 1 and side 2, right? Then I have one router over here, one router over here, then ISP, right? Like this is my design. So here, as I told you, to make communication possible between side 1 and side 2, you have to create one virtual private network, right? You have to create one virtual private network, right? But to form the virtual private network VPN, first you need what? IP connectivity between R1 and R2, between R1 and R2, public IP connectivity. So that is underlay network, right? So underlay network is still required. If you have underlay network, then only you can configure overlay network, and VPN is what? Overlay network, right? So here you have to learn the underlay network and overlay network fabric, right, in the automation. Then guys, separation of control plane and data plane. Like let's say I have one router over here, right? So this router have control plane and data plane both on a single box, right? And if I will separate the control plane from here, right, if I will centralize the control plane on a centralized location, let's say I have multiple branches, right? So on each branches I will place only data plane, and now my control plane is centralized over here, control plane, like this. Then what is the benefit of this network? What is the benefit of this network? That you need to learn over here. Fine. First underlay, overlay, and then control plane, data plane, controller based, and software defined architecture, separation of control plane and data plane, right? So first we will understand what is control plane, what is data plane, and then what is the benefit of separating it and how to separate it. After that, in the automation and programmability, you will learn the northbound and southbound APIs, application programming interface, right? So I will make you understand what is APIs first, and then we will discuss the southbound and northbound, like how lower level network component can communicate with higher level network components. Fine. Then again, you need to compare traditional campus device management with Cisco DNA Center, right? So we have already covered Cisco DNA, right, in the network fundamental section, but again we have Cisco DNA. So here just we need to compare traditional campus device management with Cisco DNA Center. Fine. Embedded device management. Then guys, you need to run the REST based APIs, CRUD, HTTP verb, then data encoding, decoding, right? And few more topics are there, right? These are again just you need to know the definition of this topic. Then if you already know what is JSON, good. Otherwise I am going to teach you in the course. So this is my automation and programmability part, right, which will cover 10%, right? So you can see guys, now CCNA syllabus is how easy it is, right? Very easy, right? Anyone can learn it, anyone can crack the exam, can pass the CCNA exam, but you need a roadmap, you need a proper training, right? Because first you have to learn it, so you need a mentor who can teach you this all topic. Then you need to practice it, right? You need to configure these protocols by yourself. Then you can practice, then you can buy practice, and after that you can go for exam. After that you can go for exam. So now if you are a fresher or if you have some experience but your base is not strong, right? See, if your base is strong, if you have good basic knowledge, like knowledge of OSI model, IPv4 addressing, subnetting, basic routing, like how routers work, how these devices, all devices work, then you can learn these all topics by yourself as well. You don't need a trainer, you don't need a mentor. But guys, if your basic is not strong, right, you are fresher or you are from the other background, you just want to enter in the industry. Even you don't know how to connect two computer together. Like if I am connecting two computer together through one Ethernet cable, here IP address is 10.1, here IP address is 10.2. Even you don't know how packet flow will occur over here, right? How to assign IP address on the machine, right? If you are people like this, means completely non-technical guys, right? Basic is not strong, and you are looking for a trainer, right, who can teach you these all topics. Then you can then you can take training from me, guys. I am a trainer as well as engineer, right? I am working professional, I am working in this in a industry. Apart from my work, I am teaching, because teaching is my passion. I love to teach people, I love to share my knowledge, right? So if you are looking for a mentor for yourself, a trainer for yourself, then you can take training from me, right? I i have lots of video on YouTube channel, so you can check any video for the demo purpose. Like if you want to check the teaching method, right, how you are going to teach. Let's say if you are thinking, Praful, how you are going to teach, I want to know your teaching method. So just watch my any video on YouTube and then decide. If you are thinking, yes, I want to learn CCNA from you, Praful, only, right? Because I want to boost my basic. I want to learn these all topics because I understand the importance of these devices and protocols. Then guys, please check my website. Visit to www.pmnetworking.in. Check when next CCNA batch is starting and enroll yourself. And let's meet in the live session. Now I want to discuss something more. Like most of the people are asking about the study materials, like share some study material for OSPF, for BGP, right? Which is the best platform, right, to learn networking? So guys, I am going to tell you one best website to learn networking, right? Because when I was a student, when I was learning these protocols or devices, I was visiting to this website only for learning, right? So let me tell you about this website. See here, router LA. This is the website. These guys work very hard, right? So this is the website, right? You can see, you can find, you can search your topic, and then let's say I want to learn any topic, let's say TCP and UDP. So I will click on this topic, right? One PDF file will open. You can see here I have explanation of TCP and UDP in easy language, right? Anyone can understand it. So you can follow this website for learning, right? There are many topics, right? And you can get PDF like VLAN and VTP. See, VLAN and VTP, virtual LAN and VTP, right? So still I am also visiting sometime to this website to learn new things. You can also use it, you can take advantage of it, because I think this is best website, and he worked very hard, right? Because he have prepared good notes according to me. But again, this is my perspective, guys, right? Maybe your can be different. So just you can check if it is useful for you, you can use it. Now I want to discuss my syllabus, how I am going to cover CCNA 200301 syllabus. So see here, this is my syllabus, guys, right? In my syllabus, day one, we are going to understand internetworking. Again, in internetworking, you will learn the network fundamentals. Then in day two, we are going to learn the devices. Then OSI model, headers, right? Like IP headers, TCP header, UDP header, and Ethernet header. In OSI model, all protocols, layers, and protocols. Then introduction to TCP IP protocol, TCP IP suite. Fine. Then IPv4 addressing and classification, then subnetting, FLSM, VLSM, then we have one day for revision, right? After that, introduction to Cisco IS, then routing information like static routing. Then in static routing, we will also cover the types of routing, right? So in dynamic routing, we have some type of dynamic routing protocols like RIP version 1, version 2. So again, RIP version 1 and version 2 is not in your syllabus, but I think this is important for you, right? So I am going to teach you RIP version 1 and 2 also, right? Then EIGRP basic, then EIGRP advanced topology, then introduction to link state routing protocol means OSPF, like OSPF BCP basic, OSPF LSS, then redistribution. After that, BGP is not in your syllabus, but I want to discuss basic of BGP also, right? So BGP, then BGP states and attributes. After that, access control list, static net, dynamic net, then PAT, port address translation, then LAN technology, switch operations, then virtual LAN, right? IVR and vehicle inter VLAN routing and VLAN access control list, then trunking, .1Q and ISL, DTP, VTP, STP estates, then STP estates and election, right? Then type of span tree protocol, CST, PVST, PVST plus, RPVST, then EtherChannel, advanced layer 3 EtherChannel. Again, we have one day for revision, right? Then first hop redundancy protocols like HSRP, VRRP, and GLBP. Then layer 2 security, right? SPAN. Then we have one test. After that, wireless, right? So here you can see wireless. We have only 2 days for wireless and wireless configuration, but maybe if we need one more days for wireless, so here we will put one more day for wireless, right? In the same way for automation, right? In the same way for the virtualization. So maybe these part, wireless, automation and virtualization, will take 5 to 6 days or maybe 7 days, no problem. After that means hardly I can cover these all topics, all CCNA topics in 50 days, and then I will prepare your resume, right? After that, if you want to go for CCNA certification, you can book your exam and you can attend the exam, right? If you are looking for job, if you have already some experience, then you can share your resume to companies, and I will also help you to get job, right? I can also share your resume to multiple companies, because I have contact with multiple companies in India, right? Like in Bangalore location, Chennai, Pune, Mumbai, Noida, Delhi, Gurgaon, right? Ahmedabad. In these locations, I can also provide you job. But again, if you are guys completely fresher and if you are learning CCNA for the first time, so you should focus on certification, not for the job, because if you are a fresher, then it will be very complicated to get job, right? By learning CCNA, at least you have to learn CCNP also. So I am promising 100% job guarantee as well, right? But not after CCNA only, right? After CCNA also, but to not everyone, to those people who have some experience. If you are fresher, then at least learn CCNA and CCNP, then we can provide you 100% job. Okay, guys. So this is all about the CCNA 2000301 course, right? Now, if you have learned something from this video, please hit on like button. If you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe this channel, guys. We will meet soon in next video. Till then, stay safe. Bye bye. And if you are looking for any course, visit to our website. Check when next CCNA batch is starting and enroll yourself. Let's meet together and let's learn, these all topics, and let's become expert, become best in the industry. As I am working professional, I can teach you the practical things. That's all, guys. Bye bye.